if I could be so bold, a little bit more about, I guess, my humble beginnings, but it's also the learnings that I had there, more than a decade ago that I think really resonate and carry through to what we see across the sector today. You can tell which slides were built by me rather than my marketing team. This is one of them. But I thought I'd start the conversation with a hindsight share. We always start in the industry with a safety share or a learning, because one of the best things about this industry is that we are always trying to actively help each other, I guess, and the sector be better, both as individuals, but also as businesses and solutions, because ultimately we want everyone to go home safe. We want everyone to be productive, and given the length of our careers, chances are we'll end up working at our peers. So I entered the industry to BHP in the skills shortage before the last skills shortage, when we were desperate enough to even hire me, and I came in as a business improvement specialist with a background in analytics, and I've got to say, it was quite an eye-opening experience being at BHP and swapping the suit and tie for Orange. And in fact, my first day, I met the head of HR, and that was the last day I wore a tie. They accurately informed that would be the last day, and they were completely correct. But one of the first big projects that I had to do out on site was the installation of a fleet management system across first one, then multiple sites. And what's really interesting about that challenge is just how many different stakeholders and how many different processes have to be involved in order for it to work accurately. The end user was BHP. The service provider was the state-based dealer of the OEM, which almost like the distributor as well. And then the actual original equipment manufacturer was from overseas. And so in order for a fleet management system to work, you need thousands of things to be done very accurately by dozens, sometimes hundreds of people across all of those different stakeholders. And unsurprisingly, in the course of trying to do that at BHP, even with all the money in the world and certainly a heck of a lot of resource, it was not an easy challenge. And in fact, when we think about how each of those businesses in isolation, but then collectively try to make sure that system can be done and installed and adopted, not just once, but then replicated across multiple sites, it required that approach of standardization. And in the course of doing so, it's not just the people who are trained, which is a challenge in an environment where you're putting new systems and technologies out on site. It's not just making sure the products are easy and ask the OEM or any OEM these days, that the goal is to make sure the product is plug and play. But the deficiency is we find across this is still the processes to make sure that whoever's happening to do the work to make sure those products are successful, it's ensuring that the processes are accurately followed in a standard way. And from my time at BHP, I guess the hindsight share I've got there, which still resonates with me, and it's one of the reasons why I started the business, was having to move a wireless trailer at one point out on site. I got given a radio, and I went and found the manual because I was I guess diligent, and in the course of doing so, the manual was out of date. I hadn't done that particular process before, although I was trained and competent to be out on site and do so. And I was always told, look, don't worry. If you get stuck, you can always jump on the radio and call Bob. Bob wasn't their real name, but the difficulty about that is, in that situation, is one, Bob is the most difficult person to get a hold of on site, and two, you're then in that situation where you have to broadcast across the entire site that you don't know what you're doing. And then finally, you're also in a hurry because you've got 1,000 things you have to do. And so I guess that the conflation of all those events was, I'm there trying to move this comms trailer, and it's one of the 1,000 things I had to do that day. And in doing so, I read the manual, but the manual was out of date. And whilst I have a couple of degrees, common sense isn't one of them. In doing so, I loosened the bolt, and instead of it being the winch to lower the mast, it was the pivot point for the mast itself. Down it comes, and and more than $40,000 worth of damage later. Thankfully, no one was hurt because I did my BMA safe or take five at the time. But the damage was done, and then when I sheepishly come back to the manager of the project, and I'm like, "Look, this thing has happened. Let me fill out the paperwork. Who do I need to tell?" Uh, the manual's out of date. His response was, "Well, look, this is the third time this has happened on the project. He'll let someone know." I don't think he himself knew who should be told. And that really stuck with me, not just from the fact that it's well past the age of the start of the internet, but also because if I was at home and trying to accomplish or being found in the same position, I would have accomplished it by looksy doing something on YouTube. And I would have been able to accomplish it faster and certainly with a lot more confidence than I was given at the time. And so that standardization process, that was just one example in one part of one project. We see that kind of writ large, not just across my time at BHP and many different technology projects and attempts at doing standard work. We found that that spaghetti monster of systems and the different complicated requirements to make sure that everything is done in a standard way was just made much more difficult as you scale that out and as you have to rely on a varying degrees of capable workforce, myself included. Uh, it meant that at the end of the day, that project was much less successful than it otherwise could have been. And for someone that really cared about doing a good job, that was quite disheartening because I really believed in the technology itself. And so, taking a step back and then thinking about what we see, not just in that one example, but now what we've seen across the sector, and some of this is obviously in no-brainer territory, but when you find yourself having to deal with a team of people, potentially multiple teams, and that kind of spaghetti monster of processes, we find that yes, there's absolutely safety and quality implications. And in the course of that project, there was reputational issues because it certainly inhibited BHP's desire to continue to roll that technology out. Uh, we had to chase down compliance sign-offs and try to help ultimately make sure that the vendor got paid, but we couldn't get warranty documentation correct. Like it was just the issues kind of compound upon themselves. And for something that's as simple as putting something out on site, making sure it's commissioned properly and people use it correctly, we see this really reflected in multiple ways right across the industry. Thus, hindsight. And besides making sure that things don't go wrong, I guess a couple of statistics, these from McKinsey, where you think about that state of play where you have people are trying to make and sell great products to solve big challenges across the sector. We find that investing in solving for that problem means that they can better compete because they're going to offer a better service along with the product for their customers. And the BHPs of the world, without speaking for them, but we know that they're more likely to buy if the technology is going to be more successfully adopted because they're going to attain the benefit that they're working really hard to unlock by buying that technology and solution in the first place. The other issue is that with the remoteness of our industry, it's really difficult to always get that expert available to go out and solve the problem. But as anyone here who's had to troubleshoot any technology issue where the first step is turning it on and off again, a lot of the issues that affect availability of these solutions are simple and they don't require you to be an expert to ensure that they can be resolved. And so there's absolutely a lot of uptime opportunities and availability opportunities in ensuring that you can provide people the right process where they're not having to wait to fly an expert out to site to resolve them. And so again, when you think about if you are in the shoes of that OEM or in the shoes of that customer, solving for this is actually ultimately going to improve the value they see from the products that they buy. And then finally, if you can not just compete on it, but you can ensure that the availability unlock is there, you're actually providing a much better service for your customer. And we find, McKinsey found that those businesses typically do and generate 60% more revenue than their peers by solving for this as well. Some tangible benefits and ultimately intangible benefits for those customers. From a hindsight perspective, we see that that challenge exists from teams with just 5 people all the way up to teams with 5,000, and working on not just one site but hundreds of sites around the world. And those challenges are the same. And so we've worked really, really hard to make sure that we can unpack the root cause of some of those issues so that when we come to take current state practice from some of these customers and try to build best practice with them in a solution, that it's going to make sure that it's fit for purpose. And we're really proud of the work that we partner with our clients to co-develop. It's one of the reasons why digitization is so effective, is because when you take that software platform layer, we put almost half of what we earn back into research and development to continuously improve our product. That means that our clients are always on the latest and greatest solution that we can build and co-create together. And so ultimately, that's what I'm here to do, and our business is here to do. We want to help those all of those parties and all those stakeholders work better. And it's taking that spaghetti monster and ensuring that we can live in the space where a system has raised a work order, and a work order needs to get closed off in order for people to be paid. It's the space in the middle that we find is where we can add the most value for our clients, but ultimately that's where service delivery gets done. It's where people in the field get out to get it done. And if you think about the sheer variety of processes that need to happen to do that, from manufacturing and assembly through to installation and commissioning, and then finally it's in the field, and it's where it's dangerous. It needs to be maintained, it needs to be used, and invariably, because of the environments that they're in, they need to be troubleshooted as well. And so there's a whole range of processes and a variety of stakeholders, and that complexity of simple work that needs to be done effectively by multiple people. That's where Hindsight can help ensure that we build that consistency across the product lifecycle. The thing that really, I guess, bugged me the most when I was out on site and supervising or in superintendent of people was that you couldn't properly improve a process because there were too many people. It was too opaque to understand. Yes, someone's written a fantastic idea up on my lean board, but who do I take that to? How long does it languish there before someone else just comes and rubs it off? And then ultimately, the front line are disengaged with that continuous improvement process. And one thing we found in trying to build and design end-to-end work management and thinking about highest quality service delivery is that ultimately your experts are your experts for a reason. And we want to make sure that when they go out to do not just one process, but a whole series of jobs and work, that we're engaging them in ensuring that, yes, that record of work can be generated automatically, which saves them time, but they can also be engaged from that continuous improvement process as well. And I'll show an example of that because it's just made such an impactful difference to all of our clients, because they finally get to break that cycle of the manual's out of date or the work instruction's out of date because no one reads it, because no one can update it because it's out of date. This way, if you digitize those processes and operationalize them, what you actually do is effectively engage that workforce in continuous improvement, as well as really better force multiply expertise and break that cycle of always having to rely on sending that person to go do that job, when in reality people are only spending 18 months in a role and there's just never enough experts getting created at the rate at which most of our clients find that they're losing them. So this plan, do, check, act cycle is something that we've baked right into the Hindsight system. And so we're able to not just solve those macro elements of competitiveness and consistency, we can go really right down to ensuring that there's better governance and oversight and transparency on how work gets done. for whatever the process or processes happen to be. And so I guess if you're not convinced about the kind of the problem space and a little bit of the why bother, just a couple of examples before I show a little bit of how we solve for that. Uh, from a couple of our really valued customers who have had to face some of those challenges. We can really point to different value drivers of why investing in ensuring that whilst you have a process and you can call it standard work, if you digitize it and you put it in something that's fit for purpose, you're actually going to make a sizable difference to the business itself. And so for Michelin, for example, we're really proud of that work. We've got a great example where their MEMS product, which is the really great productivity and safety uh, sensors out on trucks across multiple fleets around the world. It's a safety production critical system, and for tires and ensuring that they can be maximize life, but also ensure that they're not run hot. You don't want to be that superintendent who's been told that the MEMS system is down or that they've broken it, and you don't want to have to pull up that truck. So it's really critical to ensure that those sensors are always available and working so that the client can get the benefit. Trouble is that there's a lot of stakeholders and a lot of them are in the tire bay who are not necessarily the most technologically savvy folks in the field, and you want to make sure that they've got what they need rather than pulling the truck up and having to wait for Michelin to come out and do the work. That downtime is really expensive. So working together, hindsight being available in people's pockets there in the tire bay when those issues occur, you know, doing that really quickly and effectively with that human factors focus of understanding who those people are. There's a quick photo there of just being able to scan that QR code and be taken through how to do level one, level two troubleshooting. Something as basic as that in an effective way has meant that they halve that unavailability of those sensors across those fleets over multiple customers. We're really proud of that really easy example, but it just means that you don't have to spend a lot of effort to make a big difference because ultimately it's ensuring the processes get done well by the people you have on hand. And then following that through, we've got global engine rebuilders who have had to, scale their workforce to meet demand, but trying to do that without just having to pinch the subject matter experts from other businesses. We worked together to identify what those processes are that could be done by more junior staff, ensuring that they had what they needed in their pocket at their fingertips to do that work, and then allow that transparency and governance to ensure that work got done correctly. What that meant was they could expand the ratio of senior technician to trade assistant from 1 to 3 to 1 to 5, meeting that demand, maintaining that quality, and whilst also lowering their per unit labor costs by more than 20%. So a good example where there's a necessary requirement to ensure that the people that you have to have into your business can be made more successful, and doing that in a really tactical, strategic way if you've, again, given them the right tools for the job. So I might just jump ahead to a example, if I could, and I'll start with the mobile application because that's ultimately where work gets done. And whilst we've got a whole planning capability and reporting capability, it's where the rubber hits the road that is going to make the difference for unlocking that value for those workforces in the field. And if that's not coming through, let me know. But thinking about our mobile application and making it fit for purpose, it has to be online, has to work offline on any Android or iOS device. When you come through and open a job and a work order, you can see that there's the ability to import not just high definition photos, but also videos. That 10-second how-to is going to be way more impactful than pages of text. The ability to engage with it as well. So it's not just start at A and end at Z like digital checklists. It can be dynamic. So based on an input, you're going to take somebody down a different journey to ensure that they're able to choose their own adventure through the process. You're prompting them to capture the QA points as they go. So this isn't just an instructional tool. You're building the visibility on how that work got done, the insights and the data from that workforce as they're capturing the information. and then ultimately ensuring that it can be signed off and completed as they're going. We've worked really hard to make sure that where there is connectivity, you can have live handovers. So you don't have to wait for someone to check information out from the office. You can see live how that job is progressing. Or more importantly, you can have multiple people come through and work on it at the same time for some of these larger jobs. So again, ensuring that there's just full transparency even within a team, let alone within a team and their customer. We can get really clever by putting that process into a workflow. So for example, if the condition of something doesn't look right, you can automatically trigger a notification to somebody to then come out and replace it, or have a review of it, or flag it back to the customer because it's something that they ultimately need to action. And then having all of that at your fingertips has been really powerful from a empowerment of the frontline and your field technicians, because they can see where the progress of all of these jobs are up to, where it's not just one process, it's a whole work order with potentially many processes. And having, again, the ability to both navigate that as an internal user or making that available in a shared environment for your other stakeholders and provide that full transparency has been really quite powerful and an enabler for that service delivery element. Within a job, as you can see here, this is the desktop view. You can come in and see the status of that work, view the live reporting as it's coming through, get taken through to the issues and items that have been flagged, come in and add or edit those activities in case it's not necessarily fit for purpose yet for sharing with the customer. And then either through the API, it can go into your ERP, or you can download or make that available really in any format for customers to engage with, or it can go back into your data lake for additional reporting and insights as well. We commonly get asked at this point, well, okay, how do we make sure that whatever we're starting with is going to be made, how do you put it into hindsight? Because we have processes, or maybe we don't. Some things are undocumented, and that's really come down to our codeless workflow builder, which is one of the reasons why you need to make sure that this is made easy to keep things living. And so if I move from the mobile app here and I show you the back end for that process we just walked through, making that easy to use, easy to update, and easy to maintain at scale is the other critical element of digital work management. So everything I just showed you should be enabled anybody in your organization who happens to be a process owner to come in and do that work. So if I was to be in the field and flag a continuous improvement opportunity, which in the mobile app anyone on any step can do, I, as the process owner, will be able to come through and see who's raised it, when they raised it, on what step, what's their feedback, and I can even go through and see the example image that maybe or video that they've provided, which might be an improvement in the content that I otherwise have on that step. And in doing so, it's as quick and easy as click and drag to update that procedure and process and have someone review it and then publish it and make it available live for everybody. Too many stories from the industry of people having to run around and shred old versions is kind of shouldn't be acceptable in 2025. But more importantly, and better empowering process owners to ensure that those things are operationalized is one of the other benefits of hindsight. And so if I was to think about that transceiver install example, here we've denoted that there's a piece of content and a quick video. We've required that there's a photo to be taken. Potentially we can just click in and add, we have some multi-choice options that we want that particular field technician or individual to fill out. What are they? If they flick this option, then I want it to be flagged on the report and to the supervisor. I want to generate an automatic action item if they do so. And if they do select option one, which might be, this is it's a fail. Great. Then when they choose that option, what I want is a description. And this option as a condition will only appear when someone selects that, for example. So being able to do that quickly, don't need to be trained extensively in order to have somebody come in and be able to build, maintain, or operate these processes, and managing them at scale with things like templates is one of the benefits of hindsight. So if you're not able to properly capture frontline feedback and action it and turn it around, that's a really easy, quick example of how you can embed something quickly at the front face, because we can take an operating procedure and put it out in the field in less than an hour if people so choose. So coming back to I guess the presentation portion is just if that's of interest, and knowing with that we're almost at the we're just past top of the hour. Look, I would love to be able to have you think about some processes in your organization, or your client's organization that may or may not uh, have that capability. We'd love to be able to have a conversation and have them test it and see it in action, because this is a seeing is believing industry. And when you think about this type of approach to effective digitization of work management, it should be crawl, walk, run. You should be focused on those processes that are highest value to unlock uh, the key KPIs that we spoke about at the top of the conversation. And that's how we've managed to have our customers transition successfully in an environment where no one's got spare time to do this work, but ultimately achieve the outcome together.